Hi BookTube, Sarah here and welcome to my channel. Today I am coming to you with a weekly reads video. This is for week number 53 of 2020, but it runs from December 27th to January the 2nd. So it does cross over a couple days in January, but the two books that I finished this week, neither one I did finish in January. So these are all kind of December reads. So yeah, 53 weeks. I had to triple check that. I'm like, is it really? But I believe it's because we had a leap, like 2020 was a leap year. We had 29 days in February as opposed to 28. That or they just felt that 2020 wasn't nearly long enough. So let's add an extra week in there. So yeah, I am excited to sit down and chat with you guys. I have, of course, I want to share with you guys the two books that I finished this week. The last two holiday books of the year, or the last two books I finished in 2020. I'm going to share with you, of course, what I'm currently reading, my first 2 weeks of, my first two books of 2021, which is very exciting. I do have some knitting to show you guys. I have a small book haul, 3 books. We went to Walmart this morning to pick up some groceries, and of course I had to go ahead and pick up some books. And yes, I'm sitting in a slightly different location. I'm usually sitting further back, but this is actually a bit easier for me because there's a desk, a huge desk that sits right here in front of my window. And of course I've got the window right here, so this is all natural light, which is kind of great. The tree is off. I did have the lights on when I sat down, but I think because of the camera, I get this like black line that like runs through, and it's just not pretty. Yes, the tree is still up. It makes me happy. I don't want to take it down, you guys. I've mentioned this before, like, we're coming into the dark days of winter. It's just starting, and, you know, it's just, the tree is just so festive. So I think it's going to come down this week, I'm pretty sure. But what I want to try and get is, like, a fake, like, potted tree. I can't get a real one because the cats would just eat it or knock it over, and it would just end up being a thing. But I want to get something to put there, some sort of greenery, just to make it cheerful. And I am going to leave the lights up, though. The lights that you can see that are on, those I'm going to leave up. They go around my window and around over here. And then I might actually try and find another string of them or something and put them like around the bookcases back there, like run them around like the top of the bookcases. Might be kind of pretty. So, you know, just to kind of cheerful it up a little bit. But yeah, the tree does have to come down. I just haven't had the urge to do it. It's kind of my last day of quote-unquote vacation. I mean, I have been working up until, you know, I worked 3 days last week because we had Monday off, and then I worked Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then of course we had Friday off for New Year's Day, and I was off of course this weekend, but then it's back to normal starting tomorrow. But because we're in lockdown status here in the province of Ontario, I'm only going in on Mondays and Wednesdays, so the other days I get to work from home, which is super fantastic. So, rambling. I will ramble some more at the end. Maybe not. Probably not, actually, because I really don't have much else to share with you. I might as well just do it now while I'm sitting here chatting. See, these are like completely unscripted. I have no idea what I'm going to talk about when I sit down here and turn on the camera. That's half of the fun. So, I didn't share with you guys a lot about what I like got for Christmas and stuff like that, because really, Garrett and I didn't do Christmas presents. I talked about the fact that I got my Kobo, and I did an entire video of the Paperwhite versus the Kobo, the Kobo Libra H2O, which is what I have. I am still going to be using my Paperwhite. I'll be actually using it probably this month for a couple books because I have a ton of backlog, not backlog, but a lot of books that I've bought on the Kindle that I want to, of course, continue reading on that. And I do like that device, don't get me wrong. But if I was to do like the best e-reader for me, it would definitely be the Kobo, mainly because of the fact that I can borrow ebooks from the library and read them on it. So that's very cool. The other thing I ended up buying myself was this week, because we had Boxing Day sales, so the after Christmas sales, and I ended up treating myself to a brand new Fitbit. So I got a Fitbit, it's a Versa 3. It's a Versa 3. My background is actually the moon, and it's actually, it's kind of hard for me to show you guys, but it's actually whatever phase the moon is actually in right now is my background. I think it cost me $2 or $3 for that, but it goes by based on where we live, like northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, whatever, and we'll follow like the moon phases, which is just my jam. Clearly, I am. That's what my tattoo is. In case anyone didn't know, it is the phases of the moon. Just really, you know, decorative essentially. So yeah, I treated myself to this. It was regularly $300, and I got Christmas money, so I ended up only having, and it was $50 off, so I only ended up having to pay $50 of my own money for it. So I'm really happy. I've had Fitbits for about 5 or 6 years now. I have them all. Like the pink one that I used to wear in all of my videos was a Versa. I think it was just the original Versa. So I upgraded to the Versa 3. The only reason I did that, and generally I'm not one who's like, oh, it's new and shiny, I must get the new whatever it is. It's because the old one I'd had for about 2.5 to 3 years, and it just wasn't holding a charge as long as it used to. Like I would charge it, and then like the next day I would need to charge it again, essentially. So it was time to upgrade, and I had the money, and it was on sale, so, you know, why not? And I kind of like the navy blue that I got for this one, so yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of like the two big things I got for Christmas were electronic, which is very weird for me because usually I'm not an electronics person. I'm not one of those kind of people, but those are the things that make me happy. E-readers and Fitbits. That's my electronics. And maybe, you know, laptops. I do need my laptop. I'm not an iPad person or anything at all like that. Like I have my Kindle Fire, which is what I use for like these videos and everything else. But yeah, I thought about an iPad, but I'm like, the only thing I would use it for would be like digital planning. And I'm like, that seems like a giant waste of money. So anyway, now I am rambling. Let's get into the books that I finished this week. So the first one that I finished was A California Christmas by Brenda Novak. I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. It's book number 7 in the Silver Springs series, which is a small town contemporary romance series set in California, in case the California Christmas title didn't clue you in. And I did listen to this one on audio, and it was narrated by Veronica Worthington, who does a really great job. This was also a NetGalley read from me. So this one, thank you very, very much to Harlequin Mira for sending me an e-arc copy of this one. But like I said, I did listen to it on audio, and this came out back in October of 2020. So this was the story of Emery and Dallas. And as I talked about, I think last week, when I read, was it last week that I finished When Snow Falls, like the week before, which was another Brenda Novak, part of her Whiskey Creek series, is that she does not shy away from tackling very difficult topics, like topics that are not necessarily your light and fluffy type of Christmas reads. So in this story, Emery is staying with old friends, because she was living and working in Los Angeles as a morning show anchor, and she was having a relationship with her co-anchor, this guy. And unbeknownst to her, he secretly taped her while they were having relations. And then it got posted online, and she lost her job. So it's essentially revenge porn is kind of part of the main plot of this story, that she's trying to fight to find out what happened, because he ended up getting let go as well, but then he got his job back, and they're trying to say it's because she wasn't very good at her job, which is a load of BS. So then she meets Dallas, who's actually the son of the woman that she's staying with. The woman that she's staying with fosters all these boys, like these younger boys, and you know, is essentially a foster mother to these troubled youth, essentially. And Dallas is one of the first that she adopted, and he's now fully grown. He's an adult man, and you know, he's still, I think does he still live with her? Yeah, I think he does. And but he travels quite extensively. He's a rock climber, like that's his thing, and he gets sponsored to do it, but he doesn't do it with harnesses. He does it like without safety equipment or something like that. I didn't know that was even a thing. So anyway, that's his kind of bit of his backstory, but the main part of his backstory, like I said, Brenda Novak does not shy away from difficult topics, is that his father killed his mother and sister, like shot them one night, and then went to jail. And he went after Dallas, but a neighbor heard the gunshots and came in, and the police stopped him before he could go after the son, like after Dallas, because Dallas was hiding, I think, in a closet. His sister actually saved his life by making sure he was hidden away. So anyway, his father's been in prison all this time, and he's now out of prison and kind of wants to find Dallas. But like, is it because he actually wants to try and forge some sort of a relationship? I don't know how you possibly could after doing something that horrific. Or is he there for nefarious reasons, essentially? So that's like, this is a Christmas story, you guys. We have revenge porn and murder. I'm laughing, but it's like, she doesn't shy away from these hard topics, and I do appreciate that, and I like it. The thing was, I think at the point that I was at, I really wanted a really light Christmas story, and I think because the last Brenda Novak I read them back to back, essentially, When Snow Falls and then this one, and that one dealt with some very difficult topics as well. So I think I was I needed a break, and that was on me as the reader, not as on Brenda Novak as the writer, I would push this one to a 4-star for sure, and have no absolutely zero problem doing that. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. I just don't suggest you read a lot of them back to back because they're not depressing, but they do deal with very difficult topics. And yeah, of course, Dallas and Emery end up having a relationship together, and takes place over the holidays in California, not far from Los Angeles. So it's a warmer climate Christmas kind of an idea, but I did enjoy it. The other one that I finished was The Christmas Backup Plan, and this was by Wilde. I gave this one 4 stars. It is book number 11 in the Twilight Texas series, and I think I've read Wilde, but it's been years. I don't think I've read her at all since I've been on BookTube, which as of yesterday was 5 years. So it's been a long time since I read her stuff, but this Twilight Texas series is kind of synonymous with Christmas. It seems like the first couple did not really have anything to do with the holidays, but like all the next ones, almost the entire series, it's like she releases a new Christmas one every year. And this one was totally adorable. It was a road trip romance, and our main characters were Aerie and Remington. And they've known each other for years and years and years. But they don't particularly like each other, which is funny because now the only thing I don't like, and this is one of my pet peeves in romance, and I don't understand why this is a thing. I mean, I get it, but it seems to happen a lot in romance, and I don't know how much it would actually happen in real life. Where not Emery, that was our last character. Aerie has 2 sisters. Remington has 2 brothers, and those 2 sisters are married to those 2 brothers. So they just assume that these 2 are going to hook up together, right? Just because, the rest of the family has. But they really particularly don't like each other, but it could be that they're fighting the fact that everybody thinks that they should be together kind of an idea. So that's like my one pet peeve when I start reading stuff that's like all these sisters married all these brothers, and I'm just like, oh, I get that they're not related at all by blood. It's nothing to do with that. It's just odd. I guess it makes, like planning the weddings real easy. It's like, who was at your wedding? Oh, invite all those people because, they're all going to want to be there, right? But yeah, so anyway, like I said, it's a road trip romance, and she fell out of a barn. She was trying to hang Christmas decorations and fell and hit her head. She has a slight concussion, but she has to do this 8-hour drive to Twilight, Texas from the place that they live in, Cupid, Texas. So Remington is kind of coerced into driving her, and the 2 of them end up having relations while on this road trip. And then, while they're spending their time in Twilight, Texas, she is there for she's a wedding planner. And while she's kind of helping plan this wedding, they end up having a relationship. He's an Army veteran. He jumped out of planes, whatever. He was jumping out of a plane, and he lost these 2 fingers off of this hand, his left hand. So, he does have a war injury, if you will. And he does suffer from some PTSD. And Aerie is very light and fluffy, and she's adorable, and she's cheerful, and she always tries to look out at the bright side of life, whereas he's kind of in a very dark place. So they complement each other well in that aspect. And yeah, like I said, I gave this one 4 stars. I really liked it. I thought it was super, super cute, and it was a great way to end off the year in terms of my reading. So yeah, so that's everything that I have been reading finished this week. So I want to talk about my reading, and like I said, I had talked in my goals video that I am going to give myself this is going to be the relaxing year. I'm not pushing myself to read, I set my goal a lot lower than I have for the past few years. But what I've realized over the last week or 2, with the fact that I've only finished a couple books each week, is that I still do need some discipline with my reading. And I'm not saying that I have to force myself to read, because I love to read. But what I have to do is turn off BookTube, or I have to turn off Law and Order, and kind of tell myself that I need to read. What's been happening over the last few weeks is that it's been like, oh, I'll pick it up tomorrow. And then the next day I'd read 20 or 30 pages and end up binging 8 episodes of Law and Order. So I want more balance, essentially, is what I'm kind of looking for. So what I started on the 1st, so a couple days ago, is that not for my audiobooks. My audiobooks are a different ballgame. Those I listen to when I want. No rush finishing those. But for my print and ebooks, I am setting myself a page goal every day, and that's 100 pages. I want to try and read 100 pages every day. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but for what I used to do, so quick explanation of how I used to do it and what I was doing in 2020 and why I probably completely burned myself out, is that I'd set a page goal for 200 pages a day, which I could easily do. The problem was that I like I wanted to read 200 pages a day, and that would allow me to read all those books that I had on my TBR every month. But the problem would be is like, let's say on the first, I didn't read my 200 pages, I only read 100 pages. That means on the second, in my brain, I had to now read 300 pages to keep caught up. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to do now is I'm not going to stress myself out, but I do want to give myself a page goal, because then that will, encourage me to pick up reading more often instead of just sitting and binge watching television, especially now coming into the dark days of winter, when we can't go outside, when it's too cold, when it's too snowy, when it's too whatever, that it'll encourage me more to pick up books. But like, let's go back to that example. Let's say on the first I only finished 50 pages. That's fine. When I put my little page marker in, as you can see, I've got one right there right now, then I'll put it at 150 pages, So every day I'll strive for 100 pages. If I don't hit that 100 pages, that's okay. I'll strive for 100 pages the next day. But, just because life happens and you don't always have the time to read or do other things. So that all being said, I am almost done this book. I plan on finishing it today. So the first book I want to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about this very much because I have a lot of thoughts on this one already, and I want to save them for next week when I talk to you guys. And that is After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book. I picked this up because it is my good friend Chloe over at Always Booked. It's one of her favorite books. And I'm enjoying it. I'm not disliking it. I'm actually enjoying it, which is surprising. Usually Chloe and I do not agree on books, which is why I was kind of doing this little experiment. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying this one. So essentially what it's about a couple who have been married for a number of years. They started dating in college, and they cannot stand each other anymore. Literally cannot stand even looking at each other anymore. So they decide to take a year apart from each other and not talk or not have any conversation or any reason to, no contact at all for a whole year. And essentially it's told from the wife's perspective, Lauren. And like I said, I'm enjoying it, but I have a lot of thoughts on it. So I will save those for next week. But right now I'm about 2/3 of the way through it. So I do have my page. So there's 330 pages in this book. And I set my my goal for today, because yesterday I read up to page 220. So now I'm at 320, but there's 360 pages in this book. I'm probably just going to go ahead and finish it. But I still set that page marker just so that I knew in my own head, this is how much you're going to read today. You know what I mean? So, and it's been working up until this point. Like, I read 100 pages on Friday. I read 100 pages, a little bit over 100 pages yesterday. Because, like, that's it. When I get to the page marker, it's not necessarily that, I'm going to stop. If I want to keep reading or read for half an hour before bed, I absolutely can. More is better, right? So, yeah. But anyway, that's just kind of a little bit of information on my reading. My current audiobook, which I am really loving, is Engagement and Espionage by Penny Reid. It is the first book in the Solving for Pi, a Cletus and Jen mystery series. So Cletus and Jen, who are from book 3 from the Winston Brothers series, which are my favorite couple in the entire series. This happens in the events, of course, after that book. And I don't know where it falls within the actual Winston Brothers series. I haven't been able to, figure that out. Pardon me. And, but essentially they are together. And I don't think it happens much further after book 3. Because they just got together recently, I think around Thanksgiving, which is late November. And it is now early January in this book. So it has not been very long at all. But someone is going around and doing stuff to, the beginning of the book, the incident that happened was that this farmer that Jen has a bakery and she's a baker. She gets all of her eggs from this local farmer, and she says they are the best eggs. She can't use store-bought. People notice a difference. And she shows up to buy eggs to find out later that most of his flock had been killed. Like, someone actually came in and killed the chickens. And I ended up learning a lot more than I ever thought I would ever need to know about how to pluck a chicken in this book. So yeah, it's been fun. So there's kind of these things going on. There is, if you read, I definitely think going into this one, you need to have at least read book 3 in the Winston Brothers series to get the backstory of Jen and Cletus. And especially Jen's parents and things like that, because her parents are going through a very, very ugly divorce. Spoiler alert for book 3 in the Winston Brothers. And that comes into play in this story. So this is being labeled as a cozy mystery, but it is definitely the most, sexy cozy mystery that I've ever read. This is very true to the Winston Brothers series, which gets very a lot of sexy times in it, let's put it that way. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And the narrators on it, because I am listening to it on audio, it's being narrated by Chris Brinkley and Joy Nash, who did the original, and I love them as a duo. They are a fabulous narrator duo, and it's delightful. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm about 30% of the way through it, and I'm looking forward to getting that one done. So yeah, so that is what I am currently reading. I'll show you guys the 3 new books that I bought. So, like I said, we went to Walmart, and they do have, I don't know if your Walmarts are the same, because I've even noticed that if I go to different Walmarts in the area, they don't have this deal, which is to get 3 Harlequin books for $15. So, I did that. And I always like to get a bind-up if I can, because it's like getting 2 books. So, I got another one in the Must Love Dogs duology, if you will, or anthology. So, these are all essentially reprint stories that all feature dogs. And look at that. Yes, it's a Christmas one. I'm sorry. I can't let Christmas go. This is The Holiday Rescue, and it's by Susan Carlisle and Annie O'Neill. And I looked it up, and both of these stories were originally medical romance stories. So this one is The Highland Dogs Christmas Rescue by Susan Carlisle, and Making Christmas Special Again by Annie O'Neill. So yeah, both of them feature dogs. I think both of them actually feature veterinarians. So yeah, super, super cute. I had to pick it up. Again, a 2-in-1. It's a good bang for your buck, essentially, if you can get a deal like that. So I do have a whole bunch of them. Of course, as I'm going through my Harlequin bookshelf tour, I will get to these at some point and, of course, be sharing them all with you. And then I got 2, part of the imprints. These are both from, this one's from December. This one came out in December, and this one I had on my my anticipated reads list for the Harlequin anticipated reads. So I'm happy I got a physical copy. And this is Operation Mountain Recovery by Justine Davis. Another one featuring a dog, which is kind of awesome. So yeah, this is a Silhouette Special Edition. No, Silhouette. Oh my God, it's not Silhouette. A Harlequin romantic suspense novel. It says He's Sworn to Protect Until It Gets Complicated. And this is part of the Cutter's Cove series, which is interesting. In case you're curious, I was on the Kindle Daily Deals, because yes, even though I got the Kobo, I'm still buying books for Kindle. I actually price match between the two, and there are a lot of incidences where one is on sale. If it's on sale for on Kindle, it's generally on sale for the Kobo, but not every time. So I do like to price match between the two of them and see which one is cheaper. But the first 2 or 3 books in this series are available as part of the monthly deals on Kindle. So I picked them up yesterday. So I did get a couple new ebooks yesterday, but I got the first couple in this series. So in case you like romantic suspense, I recommend Justine Davis. She's fantastic. You might want to go ahead and check those out. I will try and remember to leave the titles of those 2 books below, so you guys can go ahead and check them out for yourself. If you want to check out. And I think that they were on sale on both Kobo and Kindle. So that's a thing. And then the other one I got was a special edition. I love the special edition novels. And this is Snowbound with the Sheriff by Laurel Greer. And yeah, like I said, special edition. Now this came out in January, so this is not a Christmas story. But this is part of the Sutter Creek, Montana series. So yeah, it just looks so pretty. You know, like I've been talking about this before, that I find with contemporary romance that if the setting tends to be like wintry like this, more often than not, it's a holiday story. But I do like seeing the ones that still take place in the winter that are not Christmas related, because again, when Christmas happens, winter is just getting started. And, you know, like winter started on December 21st. So it's like 4 days before Christmas. But it's not like all of a sudden on December 26th, all the snow melts and winter is over. That's totally not the way it works for anyone who lives in a climate where we get all 4 seasons. So yeah, anyway, this one looked cute. I've read this author before and I like her work. So I am very, very excited to get to this one. So those are the 3 new books that I picked up this week. So I'll just show you guys my knitting. And then that's it for today. Before I do that, though, so I've got some videos coming out this week. I'm actually not filming them today. Usually I try and bulk film on Sundays, but I will be filming them later in the week just because I'm not 100% prepared yet. The first one on Tuesday is going to be my December wrap-up and stats, which I do love doing. And then on Thursday, I'm going to have my year-end stats video. So essentially I'm doing like all of my stats for the whole year. And then I will talk about all the books that I gave 5 stars to, which is typical for me. I see a lot of people do videos like their best of, and that's fantastic. I love watching those, or top 20 of 2020 or whatever. But I just talk about only my 5-star reads because I have, I think it's 16 or 18 5-star reads in 2020. So I just like sharing just those ones with you guys at the end of the year. And I've been doing it every year that I've been on BookTube, and it's a lot of fun, and I like doing it. So anyway, to the knitting. So I did finish a pair of socks this week. It's very exciting, you guys. So I finished my Christmas lights socks that I was co-knitting in a way with Rainey. Rainey's knitting the very same pair, the same pattern and the same yarn. So there are my finished socks. Aren't they pretty? Got the heel in both of them. So that's where I was last week when I had the one sock done. That's where I was last week. So I finished off the toe, and these are done. I have to weave in the ends, as you can see. I haven't done that yet. Weave in the ends, and then these can be worn, and I will wear them all year round. I don't care, even though they're holiday. But then the other thing that I did, and I talked about this a few weeks ago in a video, that I wanted to start doing with all my socks going forward, is I wanted to knit a mini sock for 2 reasons. One, I really love the idea of making like my own Christmas garland to go on the tree and having all these adorable little knitted mini socks to put as a garland on my tree. But the second one is that these are hand knit, right? So by nature, these are delicate. They get ruined very easily. I have a pair that I finished knitting over the summer, so maybe 4 or 5 months ago, that already have a giant hole in the heel because I stepped on something on the floor and it tore the bottom of them. You know, that happens to a pair of, you know, socks you buy at Walmart. It's not a big deal, but when you spend over a month hand knitting a pair of socks, it's sad. So I can darn it up and I can try and fix it. That's not the issue, but eventually these will wear out, just like any other pair of socks, but even more so because they're hand knit. So I wanted kind of like to keep as like a memory that I knit this sock, this pair of socks, in a small sock. So guys, it's even got a heel in it. I am so proud of that. You have no idea. So I literally used the exact same pattern, which is Hermione's Everyday Socks. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, so I even did like the little cuff. So I've got like the leg and the foot. So eventually, when I get a bunch of them, they will all hang on my tree, like on a garland. Is that not adorable? I love it. So yeah, so I'll always have kind of a bit of a memory of knitting these socks by always having like this little mini sock. You know, of course I have my sock yarn blanket that I put squares into of all the socks that I've knit, but you know, it's one thing to have like a square and a blanket, but it's another to have a complete little mini sock. Isn't that just the cutest thing ever? I'm debating actually on knitting another one, and I might keep those ones like a secondary sock to do like Christmas gifts for next year, like to give people like a little ornament, like just a single little, like put a little loop on it, and like somebody will have that as an ornament. You guys think, which as people, like, you know, if someone gave you that, like, you know, it's these kind of gifts that you would give to somebody like a friend, or, you know, like an acquaintance, like even, you know, like my mother, I could give one, even though she doesn't put up a tree, but you know what I mean? Like my brother and sister-in-law, they put up a tree. I could give them a little ornament. You know what I mean? So I think that would be kind of cute. So I might have to knit another one because I do have yarn left. I have quite a bit of yarn left from that. So yeah, so that is my socks. They are done and I'm very, very happy about it. And then the other thing is that I did cast on a new pair of socks. I had cast these on before and I've shown them to you guys before, but then I realized I made a big mistake in the pattern, so I ripped them out last night and I recast them back on. So this is as far as I am. So there is the yarn. This is another Christmas yarn. You probably can't tell because it's so bright and cheerful, but the yarn is from a company called Dog Dyeworks. Oh, that yarn is from Ravenswood Fiber Company, and she is a Canadian dyer. I'll leave a link to her below. So this one is Dog Dyeworks. And this is the Grinch in Whoville is the colorway. And I'm knitting a pattern called Christmas Brownies, I think, which is by, bear with me, I can tell you guys. This is part of a set, and I talked about this before. A set of 24 socks that, like mini socks that this designer did. The 24, like it's an advent of different little socks. But what I did was I edited the pattern to do it for a big pair of socks, like a normal size. So Yarn Cafe Creations. So yeah, like I said, it's called Christmas Brownie. It really doesn't show you much on the pattern, but it's just kind of a nice little design on the front. But yeah, of course I'll show these to you guys as I go, but I think that you have to buy the entire set. So eventually when I'm done this pair of socks, then I will knit a mini sock in the same pattern. And I will have that to use for my tree. So, and my sock memories essentially. But there's the yarn. So it is a little kinked up right now because I did pull out the sock that was already in there. But yeah, does that not, you know, when you hear it's called the Grinch in Whoville, does that not scream it? It does, doesn't it? It's awesome and I love it. So yeah, and it matches the bag almost perfectly. I'm one who has to match a bag to my project. That's just, as a knitter, that's just what I do. I have an entire cabinet here that's my TV sits on top of that is just filled with knitting project bags. Not with stuff in them, empty project bags. And the last little bit of knitting I want to show you guys is, of course, I've been working on my sweater. I am knitting Ease by Alicia Plummer. So, actually, hold on. I do use something called Knit Companion on my tablet, which is really, really great for knitting because it allows you, I don't want to give away too much of the pattern here, so I'm just going to do this. Just, sorry, this is going to show a bit of the pattern, but so do you see like the highlight, like that pink line? So you can move that as you go, and then you can highlight what you're doing next. So it's a great for knitters or crocheters or cross stitchers. There is a fee to this. I think it's $25 a year. Completely worth it. Believe me, I've been using it for years and I love it. So I am knitting Ease by Alicia Plummer. So I will show you guys this pattern. So that's it right there. I am not doing this part. So that is not going to be there, like with the strings, if you can see that. I'm going to be taking that off and it's just going to be more open neck. So yeah. But it's got extra long sleeves and it's kind of a long sweater. It reminds me of like a really comfy sweatshirt. So that's what I'm really excited about. And I think Presley's trying to get into this room, but that's okay. I'm almost done. So this is, I did cast this on already, so you guys may have seen this one last week. But that's where I was last week, where my little owl is. So that's what I've gotten done, which isn't a ton, but I'm getting a lot of stitches on the needles right now because I'm constantly increasing. So it's kind of hard to see exactly what is happening here right now, mainly because my yarn's all twisted. It's twisted. What is that line from The Simpsons where the dog was sick? We'll get a dog with an untwistable stomach. I know, that's horrible, isn't it? Whenever I think of that, like the word twist, that's always the first thing that comes to mind. How you know you grew up on The Simpsons. So essentially, it's kind of hard to see this, but like this is what's going to go like over my head. And what you're doing as you're knitting it. Let me see if I can show you guys. Is that the back? Yeah, okay. So I don't want to wreck it too much, but like, I don't know if you guys can see this here, but there are increase rows right there, and then also right there. And that's essentially the sleeve. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm knitting this entire piece here. And then once I get to where I put these stitches on hold, these go on hold and then the sleeves will be knit separately. And then I just continue on the rest of the body. So yeah, so this is a little bit, it's going to take a while, but I'm enjoying it. And I do like the yarn. It's just a nice gray yarn, everyday yarn. It's going to be great. So yeah, so anyway guys, that is all that I've got for this video today. It was a little rambly. I just felt like chatting with you guys. And yeah, so like I said, stay tuned for those two videos, my year-end and my month-end wrap-ups coming next week. And, excuse me, on Friday, I will of course be doing another Harlequin bookshelf tour, which you guys really seem to like. It will be the Harlequin Heartwarmings, the ones that I have. And I might even just go ahead and film that next since I'm all set up right now. And then at least that video will be done. But yeah, until my next one, everybody, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.